run for supervisor, I came before the board, well, this is a little bit after, came before the board, and I told the board a little bit about me. So I'm going to give you the same rendition, same history. It's very short. Okay, I've been on the planning commission here in the township. I've been a trustee. I've been on the Park and Rec, and I've been on the ZBA. And I thought that after I retired from Grand Valley State University as the maintenance supervisor on the Allendale campus, I thought I'd give my retirement shot at supervisor. The COVID thing last year preoccupied all of my opponents. They did not go door to door to fill out their applications. I was the only one that did. I ran unopposed. So here I am. Like I said, I'm retired from Grand Valley State University. I've got 30 years invested into the military, Navy Reserve, and Coast Guard Reserve. So I've done that tour. Let's see, happily married. It'll be 40 years on August 1st. Been in the township. It'll be 40 years in November. So I've been here for a while. My obligation to the township is service. Okay, I don't look at political affiliations. I'm not a politician. Okay, I'm a servant. I always have been. For a majority of my work life, I've always carried a pager or a phone, and people can get a hold of me 24/7, all year round. I have to do that. On campus, I had 25,000 students, over 3,000 staff, and all those parents that had access to me at all times. So I was getting a lot of calls and a lot of emails. So I'm used to it. So if you don't come to meetings, or you don't want to come to meetings, and you have fear of calling me up, you can always email me because I respond to emails very well. I'll even come to your home if you want me to come to your home to talk about anything. So I'm a servant, and that's the way I operate. Here in Fruitland Township, we do have quite a few different things going on that I can tell you about, and Commissioner Brown touched on a few of them. The first one is the ARP funding, and that is something that we have to figure out. We have approximately, over 2 years, we have about $650,000 to spend, or look for ways to spend. We're nowhere near the amount that the county is. And I did figure out that while standing here, to run for county commissioner or be involved with the county, I think you have to be over 6 feet tall for these two guys. So I'm not gonna get there. I don't think Kim's gonna get there either. But we're gonna serve our townships. The ARP funding is one thing that's going on. There's a lot of other infrastructure things that are going on. I think they're battling one out in DC right now, that big infrastructure bill that's going through. If that comes through, that'll affect everybody. The governor put out, I think about $400 million worth of funding for local state parks, trails, and local parks and trails. So I'm gonna need the help with the county to help access some of those funds, either by grants or some way. That's very important.
Jeff?
Yes?
Do you have a question for Doug?
I do.
Okay,
I do.
let's get to
I have
it.
questions. I have questions.
Thank you.
So you can come up here, Doug, if you want, and I'll just talk from the side. Yeah, it's one of the visitors.
Okay.
My questions are totally on that ARP funding, and I know you gave me a package on that. But how does the township work with the county to make sure all those funds are adequately serviced, dispensed, and if we don't use them, what do we do with them?
Mark, I'm going to kind of defer that, but right now, I think on some of the monies that are appropriated, and it fits into the category, which would be, arts and the museums and some of the, I guess I would go also with the infrastructure. We usually work through the community foundation on some of the way that's allocated. And
if I may real quick.
Yeah.
Are you referring to the township dollars or the county dollars?
Yes.
Both.
Both, yes. Because whatever the county does is going to affect the township, and not necessarily what the township does is going to affect the county. So I need to know where there's some overlap there.
Yeah. What we're doing now, what the board is doing now is listen to internal, where the money can be spent internally. And then there's also an external, we're asking people partnership, anybody's interested in partnership, projects they might be doing. So we're still going through that process. The feds currently had an open, comment period that just ended, I think, last week. And so they have another update coming out here shortly, I would say shortly, probably in August, to fine tune what that money can be spent on. But we do have time, you have 3 years to spend it, and then if you do it on a project, you have 2 additional years to finish that project. So you do have some time yet, and so we, the county, has not identified where that money's going yet. Right now, we're just taking in input, we're taking in, anybody who wants to be a partnership, we're looking at that as well.
Does that money funnel into the county and then out to the municipalities?
No,
Is that how that
the
works?
county's
Is that-
separate, county gets their money directly from the state, and we qualified for 33.7 of that 34, they give you half this year and half next year. So we received our first half already, most counties have, and then the cities and townships are getting their money directly from the state.
I guess as I stated earlier, a lot of this has kind of been drilled down, and it seems like there's a little bit of fluid of what can be used and what can't be, and there've been a lot of things. So I think in that packet that you have, we kind of drill down and define it a little bit better for some of the things that you're asking for. So not to divert the question, we're just trying to, a lot of it's happening now, so, in the process, so. Yes, ma'am.
What would you consider internal funds?
What would be,
Go ahead, real quick.
yes.
Go and take this over. Internal funds
What's that?
is our courts, stuff that we spend our general fund dollars on in the county. So that sheet you just hand out, a lot of that is general fund.
All that would be.
Infrastructure, water, sewer, anything that we do internally.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yes, sir.
Is there some sort of a website or a portal where we can go to find out more about these partnership availabilities?
The county website typically updates on a regular basis of some of the new things that are happening. So that will be, I think there'll be more coming on the American Rescue Plan about some of the specifics as they get down. So as I mentioned, this actually, when we first were presented with this, and this is, keep in mind, I don't think this has ever happened before in my lifetime, that monies were of that magnitude coming to local companies. So a lot of people are kind of defining and kind of where this is going and that type of thing. And good or bad, I think it's a good thing but you got to define where it's going to go. You can't just do as, I think there's a lot of things internally that you can't, pay off pensions and things like that. It's pretty definite on some things like that, so.
Just a clarification
Yes, sir.
on partnership
Yeah,
issue. Is that partnerships between townships and municipalities with the county, or are we talking about private-public partnerships?
yeah, both. I think, that's one of my goals, Jeff, and thank you for asking, and it should be of all county commissioners, is to work closer with the local municipalities and kind of so this is really good to get that feedback, and I know we have an open conversation as well as I do with Kim.
I have a question. It has to do with the drainage.
Has to do with what?
The drainage.
Drainage.
So our house got flooded a year
Okay.
ago. And I sent all the pictures and I got this note back, there was no funds to reimburse anyone. We spent $15,000 just to get the basement back, we haven't got the furniture, the carpeting. And then part of this, I think, is why Pioneer Park flooded too, that
Mhm.
whole area.
Yeah, and it washed
Because
out.
we're right
Yeah.
in that whole plain. But I'm wondering, are you guys gonna do anything? Because we can't afford to do this again.
No. First off, it's not the drain commissioner anymore, Brenda Moore. We work pretty close, and I sit on one of the meetings, one of the advisory boards with her from the commission. Oh, I'm sorry. So Brenda Moore is I keep wanting to say water commissioner, a drain commissioner. and I can't think of the new name that they have now, but she has a lot on her plate, and I'm not trying to, but I think I'm gonna sit next to her Thursday, so I could ask her that question. So,
That was a lot of
next,
money.
yeah, and I know there's been a lot of things, I mean, I know she's been working on different things. The last meeting that we had, she was really getting involved with, up in Montague, which the water and how it's going to be drained and so on, so I'm not trying to, but if you, before we leave, give me your name and address, and I'll make sure that we can follow
Yeah,
up
because
with
we're
you.
right off of Seminelli,
Yeah,
and that whole, we weren't the only one that got flooded. There was a lot of houses on River Road that got flooded, and on Giles that were just like moats.
yeah, oh,
And we're on a hill,
Yeah.
and we still got flooded.
yeah.
Thank you. We're going to be
Oh.
taking the written questions now. Carol, you have one?
Yes.
Here are two on recreation.
Oh.
The suggestions for the ARP funds, a paved walking, biking path for South Shore Drive, improved boat launch on White Lake, and how much money is available for these things? What are the limitations? And could we please build a needed bike and hiking path along Scenic Drive? It was proposed several years ago, but millage failed.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if that would, Mark, if that would qualify for some of the things. I know, if you want to,
Yeah, it does, yeah.
I know we-
You got activities?
yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna read this real quick. So, there are 4 categories. Parks does qualify. I think it's
Yeah, okay, sorry.
category 1 and 3, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Category 1 and 3, whoever asked that question, parks and trails do qualify. Again, we'll work with the township supervisors, but you also answered that question, can we work with individual organizations? Yeah, there's a lot of nonprofits that are asking to be considered as well. So, we have several collected, but once the commissioners give me a guideline, then we'll send out invites to what that money is going to be used for.
Mm-hmm. And I,
Here's one that I don't know if you can answer. The return water along Memorial Drive. Can you tell us about the water pipes along Memorial Drive? Which direction is the water going?
okay, there is a, yeah, go ahead. Do you want to, can you answer that, or would you like to come be more specific?
As far as the water connection that's bringing is coming from the city of Muskegon, under the channel, down Memorial Drive, and it's connecting at Laketon Township